welcome to my channel, Eat These Words. Today I've got 3 recipes for you, 2 super quick and 1 slow cooker recipe. I hope you enjoy them as much as my family enjoyed them. But for now, Liz, what are you making first? Well, first I'm making risotto. Chicken, bacon and leek risotto, all done in the Instant Pot in 6 minutes. To make our chicken and bacon risotto with leeks, what we need to do is put our Instant Pot multi-cooker on to brown. Let it heat up for a moment. Then add a tablespoon of olive oil with garlic, just so we can have a decent flavour. So we'll let that heat up for a second. This recipe itself only takes a few minutes to make. Half the battle's waiting for everything to heat up, to be fair. A risotto in 6 minutes, would you ever? Now this is a smoked streaky bacon, which I've cut up into little pieces, as you can tell. You can use pancetta if you can get hold of pancetta. I couldn't, so we've got smoky bacon. So we'll just break it up with my handy dandy chop stir, which I'll link down below for you. This is one of the best things that I have actually got, especially when you're working with sausage or bacon and you want, or mince, and you want it all chopped up finely. This is ideal. Found this on Amazon, but I was put in touch with it by Six Sisters stuff. Shout out to them for this one. Really good too. Recommend. So broken that up and spread it out a bit. All I'm going to do now is just wait for that to brown, which will take a few minutes.
I'm not sure what happened, but my video didn't record for this, so I added 250 grams of arborio rice and 1 leek finely chopped to the pot. Then I stirred it to make sure it was covered.
And then knock off your Instant Pot. Now to this we're going to add 3 chopped up chicken breasts, so pop them all in. Then we're going to add in 750 millilitres of chicken stock. Now all I've done is measure out the water and added 2 Knorr stock cubes to it, which will dissolve in here, do not worry. Once you've done that, put some pepper on. You don't need salt at this stage. You've got enough salt in the stock. So a good healthy dose of ground pepper. And then what we're going to do is shut this lid up. Make sure it's set to sealing, not venting. Then we're going to switch our pot on. So on, we want to pressure cook on high power for 6 minutes. And then start and leave it to its own time. So once the alarm's gone off on your Instant Pot, it's time to release the pressure inside. So do this carefully, guys. Get a spoon. A wooden spoon's handy, there's one at the back there, but I'm not using that at the moment, it's silicone, and release your pressure. Once the pressure's released, open up your Instant Pot carefully. And this is what it looks like inside. There you go. Okay, taking a spoon, give it a good stir. Now, I forgot to mention before, so I'll mention it now. Please make sure that all of your rice is covered up. We don't want rice that's not covered in stock. If you put the rice in after the chicken, you're going to end up with hard rice. It just won't cook. Okay, and now what we do is we take a little bit of cream. So I've got Elmley double cream here. This is a plant-based cream. And we're going to put in as much as you want or as little as you want, really. So I'm going to put, what, a little bit in. Don't know how much that is. Maybe a couple of tablespoons. And mix it in. Okay, once you've done that, we're going to grate some parmesan in. So on the fine grater, we're going to grate our parmesan in. And you need about, well, it's up to you how much you want of this, but I reckon about an ounce is enough. And it's amazing how far parmesan goes. So, okay, see how that goes? By the way, that wasn't an ounce, that's just a little bit. But stir it in. What you could put in, if you don't want to use parmesan, is pecorino, or even a bit of nutritional yeast would be nice. That's got a lovely taste to it. Yes, it goes everywhere, sorry. Okay, now if it looks a bit sort of like it's too thick, which to be fair it is starting to look that way because the rice will continue to take on board some of the moisture, all you need to do is add a little bit of water. You don't need to add a lot. You just pop that in, just a little bit. Give it a mix around. And now the all important part, guys, you need to taste it. What we're looking for is it seasoned enough? So does it have enough salt? Does it have enough pepper? Just dip it in. Can you taste your cheese? This needs more salt to me. So I'm going to put some salt in. So a few grains of salt. And I think it could do with a bit more cheese, to be fair. Okay. Mix it all in. Now, you can always add more salt and more cheese later on. For now, I would say that's done. Next, we've got a slow cooked recipe. We've got BBQ pulled pork. Let's see how that goes. Okay, right, I'm going to make now my own BBQ pulled pork recipe. And I apologise in advance because it has everything bar the kitchen sink at it. So first of all, we need 2 cloves of garlic. Now I don't have any fresh garlic at the moment, so I'm going to use this already chopped garlic. So we need 2 cloves, so there's 1 clove roughly, and there's 2 cloves. To that I'm going to add some paprika. Now it can be smoked or normal paprika, it's up to you. In this instance, I'm going to be using smoked. So we need 2 teaspoons of that. 2 teaspoons of dried thyme. So that's half, 1 and a half, 2. A teaspoon of cumin. If you like it, put a bit more in. I put 1 and a half in today. This is basically whatever you think. Teaspoon of cinnamon. Half. 1. Teaspoon of rosemary. This is quite strong, so go easy on the rosemary. 2 teaspoons of onion salt. Yeah, mine's a bit dried up, but it's just because it's been in, I left the lid off before. I'll mash it up in a minute. There we go. It's one of those days, nothing's right. Things are not smooth as you think. A teaspoon of fennel. Love the smell of fennel, it's like aniseedy. Then we get on to our wet ingredients. So we need a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar or red wine vinegar. Either those. I'm using apple cider vinegar, so a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of Worcester sauce or Worcestershire sauce. Anybody who's American that's watching, Worcestershire, there you go. Just give it a little bit more because I like Worcester. 2 tablespoons of liquid smoke. I just discovered this recently, and yes, all it smells of is smoke, but it's lovely. So I'm going to put 2 of those in. About 2 tablespoons of tomato puree, and if you're anything like me, it's hard work getting it out the tube. You can eyeball it if you want to, it's not the end of the world. I'll call that 1. 2. Then we need 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. 3 bay leaves. So that's 1, 2, 3 bay leaves. The grated zest of a lemon. Remember everybody, that's the yellow bit only, it's not the pithy bit, the white. And if there's any on the back, just run your finger along it and tap it in. And we also want the juice off our lemon, so we're going to juice this into here. I showed you on my salad recipe, I'll link it at the top there for you. Ooh. These are really good because they get all the juice out and all the pips stay behind. Second one. Or rather the second half. So. You can add, of course, chilli to this if you wish. My family, as you know, is a load of wimps, so apart from my son who will take quite a bit, so we keep it to a minimum. Okay. Mix this around so we've got it all incorporated. Now if you've got some ground coffee knocking around, stick some of that in here, amazing. And what we're going to do is just pop it in to the marinade. Now I'm going to take as well, I'm going to get some scissors and take off the string. Okay, so take the string off. This is a pork shoulder joint. It was originally twice the size, but I always cut it into half. Ooh. And then just flip it to get rid of it. There we go. Ooh, and I think I missed one. There we go. Okay, I'll just get rid of those. And then what we do is we rub it all in. Okay, once you've managed to get your gloves on, it's time to kind of unroll it. In my opinion, it's best to do that. If it's rolled up, then unroll it and just sit it in the marinade and squeeze it in. Get it into every nook and cranny. And then we're going to cook it tomorrow on a slow cook, about gas mark 3, until it's lovely and fall into pieces. Okay, so that's that's me. So I'm just So the pork has been in the oven for 4 hours now. I'm going, oh, more 4.5 actually. I'm going to have a look at it and see how it's doing. Now before I put it in, I poured a tin of tomatoes, these tomatoes, over it, just so it would give it some more juice really, some more liquid. And I washed the tin out with some water before I put it in. So, here we go. Looking good. So we're just going to check and see if it is actually ready. The only way to really check is to try and pull it to pieces, because we are eating pulled pork, don't forget. So, oh yeah, that's not even bothering much. Now then, what we're going to pull it to pieces within here, so that it takes on the juices that are flying around in the bottom of there, to give it even more. Look at that, it's just falling to pieces. So I'm just going to do this. So just keep pulling at it until you're happy with it. That's not even bothering that. There's no effort involved in it. I'm just pulling it down gently, no pressure with my fork. And these end bits are really nice, I have to say, the bits that have got all the seasoning on from when we marinated it. Oh, that smells good. And there you have it. BBQ pulled pork. And lastly, we've got chicken biryani, one of my favourites. I haven't made it for years, so let's get into it. So to make chicken biryani, or at least my version of biryani, we're going to take a big pot, because we need it, and take some oil. Now I'm going to use garlic oil in this instance, and we're going to pop a couple of tablespoons in there. There you go, or as much as you want really. Then we're going to start heating that up, but we don't want it to get too hot, because what we want to do is soften some onions. So I'm going to put the onions in now so that they don't brown too much. You can just slice them off here. These are white onions. So we pop those in along with some grated ginger. Now you can of course use the paste, which is garlic and ginger paste, if that's what you want to use, that's not a problem. But I do have some ginger sitting in my fridge, so I thought, or rather freezer, which is the best place for it. So I'll just grate some of that in. There's something about the freshness of grated ginger in a meal. If you do get the chance to get it, I would recommend. You need quite a bit, because there's quite a bit of onion. Might seem like a lot, but it's not really. And you can always add some later on, because it's grated. So we'll pop that in. Again, you could use the puree that I showed you, but I'm using lazy garlic, or you could use fresh garlic. So we want 2 cloves today, that's roughly 2 teaspoons, and give it a swirl around. Now what we're looking for is the onions to soften. We want to keep the heat at a reasonable sort of temperature so we don't burn our garlic as well. Oh, that smells good. Try not to throw everything all over your cooker. Once your onions, garlic and ginger have been cooking for a wee while and they're looking a little bit dry in the bottom, what you can do instead of adding extra oil, you can add a little bit of water. It just helps them to cook a bit better and it'll soften them quicker. So let that water dissipate before you add the next ingredient. Now the next ingredient we're adding is the chicken, and I've got about 750 grams of diced chicken thighs here. I've trimmed it all because my son does not like the skin. So we're going to let that cook for a bit, let it get a bit of colour. Once you've started to get a bit of colour on your chicken, it's time to add some spices. So in this instance, we're going to be adding quite a few actually. So we're going to add half teaspoon of cinnamon. I love the smell of cinnamon. 2 teaspoons of coriander. Now these are half teaspoons I'm using, so it'll be 4 of these. One teaspoon of cumin. You could add more if you like the taste of cumin. It's quite an earthy taste. I think I might add a little bit. There we go. And half a teaspoon of turmeric. Or turmeric, however you pronounce it. Didn't quite get half there, so that's that. And give it a good stir. You want those spices to be incorporated into the chicken. You can of course add other spices if you wish, but those are the basic ones that I put in. The idea is for flavour in this, not heat. You don't want heat. As you know, we're wimps. Once you've done that, it's time to add your rice. So I've got 225 grams of long grain rice here, which I'm just putting in. And it's important really to stick to the 225 because we're going to put water in according to what rice we've got. So give that a good stir. If you want to add more, you're going to have to increase the stock that you use. Okay. So on top of that, I'm going to add some fresh ingredients, which are some peppers and some tomatoes. These are just a few sweet peppers that I had lying around, and the recipe calls for tomatoes. So I've got 4 small tomatoes there cut up into chunks. But you can put as much as you want in or as little as you want. Don't worry too much on that one. Just for a bit of colour. I like colour in my food, I'm afraid. I don't just like beige food. Do eat it, but I don't like it all the time. So once you've done that, it's time to add your stock. And I've got 1.5 pints of chicken stock here, which is going in. And then just make sure you've got all your rice under the water line. So give it a push down. Take your spoon out. You can put a lid on it if you so wish, which I'm going to do, because we all know a pot comes to boil quicker when you've got a lid on it. So we're going to give that a boil, turn the heat down slightly, and we're going to leave it for 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to cook it till the rice is tender. So after 10 minutes, it's time to give it a bit of a stir. We don't want it to stick to the bottom. So give it a good stir, and if it's bubbling really hard, turn it down a little bit. So for the second 10 minutes, leave your top off. But keep checking it because it may take less than 10 minutes depending on your cooker. So I checked the packet of my rice and it says it's cooked after 15 minutes, which to be fair it's been doing that now. So I'm going to knock this off so I don't burn the bottom of it. And we're going to let it sit. Now it's at this moment you can add some fresh herbs of your choice. Coriander's good, parsley, chives, anything like that. So I'm going to go and get some parsley. Now you may think it's still a little bit wet. It is, but believe me, the rice will soak that up as they continue to cook when the heat is off, because they are still very warm. It's a good time as well to add some pepper. I've tested it, it's cooked, and it's salty enough for me. So we're just going to leave it with some pepper and some fresh herbs. And when I say fresh, I mean herbs that I've cut fresh and froze. So these are my parsley from my garden. Go pop that in, give it a stir through. I know my family always try and put green stuff in there, but we need green stuff in our lives, it's good for us. Okay, and now we have chicken biryani. Now you can serve this straight away or you can leave it and have it later on, it's up to you. The longer you leave it, the better the flavour gets. It's good now, but wait till it gets a bit older. Oh, lovely. Anyway, enjoy. Well, thank you for watching my channel today. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, that would be great. And if you liked any of my recipes or tried them out, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to know how you're getting on. Okay, for now, Liz out.